Alright guys, welcome back. We are here finding ourselves lucky enough to be in Orlando. I was also lucky enough to link up with John Travis Morton of Morton & Sons Nursery. He's one of the early enthusiasts and collectors of Jaboticaba, and through him and a couple other collectors and enthusiasts, I was able to actually get some of my collection started. It was really difficult a few years ago just to even find any sort of Jaboticabas, and on top of that, just getting some shipped out to you, that was just even more difficult. So he's one of the more early ones that have been able to sell them on eBay and other, other like maybe through your nursery or just and make these available. So we are here. It's mid-August, real early before it gets super hot here, so I don't know, I guess we'll take a look around. There's a couple of videos out there. Maybe we can kind of touch up on what some maybe updates, what's new, what's kind of exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think things that are exciting for me or the things that I look forward to, the weeds are all overgrown, but the scarlets are still exciting for me. There's 4 trees around the front here, and they're just now, you can dig in, you can see they're starting to put on a crop.
Oh wow.
And that's one that, I mean, you get 4, 5, 6 crops a year out of them. They're really productive. They stay pretty small. I mean, these trees are probably about 6 or 7 years old, and they're just barely overhead for me, and I'm 6'2", and they're in 25-gallon pots. So, in the grand scheme of things, they're pretty small, and I'll go take cuttings and whatnot for grafting purposes, but otherwise it's a really manageable size. So if people are looking for something like something that they want to keep small, they want to keep in a container long term, I think those ones are in 25s and these ones are in 15s, so it's you can keep them pretty small long term, and manageable, which is nice. So
not too terrible to drag in and out of a greenhouse.
No, it's not bad for that. If you want to move it in and out of a greenhouse, you want to do things like that, you can. I have a big Coronata Restinga right here. That's one that I'm always excited about. The fruit's really good. I'll pull some vines off while we're sitting here talking about it. But yeah, that's one that I think it's going to be worth growing. The fruit's really good. It does well in all sorts of weird adverse climate conditions.
Good sized trunk on it there.
Yeah. It's pretty beefy. And it will take, I mean, it doesn't get watered as often as it would like. It can take some drought. This is one that I'm pretty interested in. This is Sabara 5 or Sabara X. You see it get called a couple different things. I think it's all the same thing, but it's a Sabara hybrid that Pine Island, I think, had at one point. I got this cutting from Flying Fox years ago. That's where it came from. So it makes the foliage is real pretty. It has
it's real deep red almost, right?
Yeah, there's just a tiny bit of it you can see right there, but
almost
it puts out really interesting new foliage. It's a pretty tree at the end of the day.
I see the crown number 2 over there.
Yeah, I've got back here. There's crown 1, 2, and 3. I collected them just as they were available and I could get cuttings from them, so I took cuttings from them. I also have Spirito Santensis back here. I've got a bigger one over there, which I can show you. It's a little bit more impressive. And then all through here, there's I believe this is Pingo de Mal. So that's one that I'm pretty excited about. It's a Sabara relative, and I think from the reports in Brazil, it's supposed to be a very, very good fruit. So we'll see about that.
Is that one of that's in commercial production?
It is, yeah. That's one of the commercial production varieties down there. So that's pretty exciting. Here's a Trunciflora that's real pretty.
So weepy.
A lot of foliage. Yeah. It's interesting for sure. Time will tell how it proves to be. This is all my wasteland of tall weeds in the summer. Yeah. Hopefully they'll die back in the wintertime. We'll come through and we'll clean them up. This is my very first seed-grown Novak Phitrantha, and it flowered earlier this year. And I believe this is from 2017, so this is 4 years old from a seed. I planted this seed here, living here. The year I moved in, I had a seedling, I had a grafted tree fruit, and I planted this. And so yeah, four-year turnaround I thought was pretty impressive. Yeah. Yes, sir. Sorry, small. Hey, buddy, I'm gonna be out here for a few minutes. Do you need something?
No, you just got to come inside and take the bread out of the oven.
Oh, okay. I will take the bread out of the oven. Give me a minute. I gotta take something out of the oven. Okay. 4 years old. Yeah, Novak Phitrantha. So it's a really pretty tree. There's a decent amount of variation in leaf shape, things like that. One to the next. But I think it's a pretty interesting tree. Just the speed, that turnaround is pretty impressive. Yeah. 4 years to get back into flowering. So a mature tree in 4 years is not a bad deal.
Yeah.
Back there I have my Cambuca, and I'll walk around this. So it's a little hard to get back in here, but it's it's not a very big tree. If I'm standing here next to it, again, it's up to there, but if you can see it or not, but right here there's a big old fruit right here.
Oh wow, I can see it. Let me I wonder if I can walk around.
Probably poke your head in that way, but yeah, right there, it's a big fruit.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's made me real happy. This is the second fruit that it put out, and the other one came out, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing, 7, 8 years old. It's flowering. It's got flower buds on it over here. Oh wow! Oh, wow. I've totally neglected and missed this one giant fruit right here.
Oh wow! Well, there you go.
Which is actually cracked open. Which yeah,
well,
there you go.
Got a seed there at least.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Well, it's really tasty. Yeah. So, yeah, that's fun. Oh, I can't believe I missed that one. But yeah, so there you go.
Well, you got your bonus there.
Three fruits so far, which I'm happy at that 7 or 8 year mark.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm a happy camper.
And those are kind of, I think you've got it grafted on, not that one, but you can graft them on Sabara, I think, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of my rootstocks that I use are gonna be Sabara rootstocks. Here's Sapukaya.
Yeah.
Plinia Peruviana Sapukaya.
You got a guard on there.
Yeah.
Century.
Oh gosh, yeah. Our lizard population is healthy and aggressive, so they make sure things are going well. Over here I have it's an ESALQ. It's a grafted tree. They're pretty. I like them. Here's this is my Z4 hybrid. So
yeah. It's pretty excited about getting that one from you.
Yeah, no, excited to see how they stack up. They're supposed to be excellent, and yet to have any fruit from them. So time will tell. But I think it should be good.
Isn't it supposed to be like a selection of red hybrid? You would think it would be fruiting or flowering early on, but how long have you had this one?
I have had this one probably about 3 years.
Oh, okay.
It's
right around there, probably.
It's right around the time that it should pick up. I also grew this one for size. You can grow them. you can grow them to fruit or you can grow them to get big. And what I mean by that is, if I want a tree to fruit quickly, I will not pot it up until it absolutely needs it.
Yeah.
And with this tree, I was like, okay, I want this tree to get bigger.
So you stepped it up real early.
So I stepped it up real early into a big, I want to say that's a 15-gallon pot. And if you want a big tree, put it in a big pot early. It's fine as long as it's not too big of a pot. But you know, it was one of those things where I said, oh, I want the tree to get big, and when it fruits, that's fine. But I was really not in much of a rush. But if you want them, you can get a tree to fruit much smaller if you don't keep potting it up constantly. So
it won't focus on the roots as much.
Exactly. You switch off the development there of, you know, once it hits the walls and it can't build roots, it's going to throw some canopy, and then it'll start throwing fruit. You know, I've got 3-gallon red Jaboticabas that are fruiting. That you know, it will do it. It's just a matter of you know, it takes the time it takes. This is a Plinia Peruviana, which is just real pretty.
Yes, doesn't it have like a kind of a fuzzy kind of growth?
Yeah, you feel them, and they're a little bit. Yeah, that one's a better example. You can feel kind of the fuzz on any of the new growth has that. It's real fuzzy at the end. It's a real pretty tree. I haven't heard any reports on the fruit, so I really can't say for sure. I can't say anything with any real confidence about what the fruit will be like, but I look forward to hearing about it and, you know, seeing how it is.
I see the jewel over here.
I sneak back in here. Yeah. There's a Variegated Sabara right there. It's probably one of the bigger grafted trees, but you know, they're incredibly slow growing. What I'm actually excited about over here is this. This is a guaquea, Nursery guaquea.
That's big.
And it's big. And in fairness, it's sitting up on, there's concrete blocks base underneath it, so it's got a little pillar it sits on. But it's a pretty big tree. It flowered very, very heavily last year, and I didn't get a fruit set, but I talked with some growers about kind of improving that fruit set, and they gave me some tips. So probably try some hand pollination next year and see where that lands. But it's a really pretty tree.
So as far as tips, is it the pollination or nutritional, kind of both?
I think that the pollination is probably where I missed the mark. I think, you know, go out, make sure that, you know, either it has a pollinating partner or you're doing, you know, abundant hand pollination. You know, there's bees. We have a lot of bees. We keep our pollinators real happy, but you know, you'll still run into issues. And this behind me is a big Spirito Santensis. So it's in a 25-gallon pot, and it's well over my head. So it's a big beefy tree. There's no, you know, there's no new foliage, but the new foliage is real pretty when it comes out. It's that dark purple color. You know, this tree's probably 7 or 8 years old, so I'm, you know, I keep an eye on it every now and then, poke my head around, and hopefully we'll get flowers here at some point.
That's some pretty new growth there. Yeah,
this is a Malacacheta. So you know, it's a pretty similar pattern. The leaves are similar; they're a little bit longer. It's a really pretty tree as well. I don't think I know anyone who's had the fruit, so I can't say much on that topic, but I think it'll be interesting. What's that? There's just a Trunciflora. It's a Novak Trunciflora, but there's some new growth on it. It's real pretty.
There's the trio of the Novaks, the cauliflora, right, and the
cauliflora, the Phitrantha, and the Trunciflora. If anyone ever gets the opportunity to interview Mr. Novak, don't miss it. He's got quite a collection. But we've got, you know, big Sabaras interspersed around, just trees that I grow and keep, and you know, I end up using for seeds, or you know, they're mature trees, so you can take cuttings if you want people who want grafted mature Sabaras. Cocktail. There's cocktail trees everywhere. They're just kind of strewn about. But yeah, and you come back through here.
What's this? Is this something different?
I feel like I messed it up. It's either a feather leaf or a fern leaf guava.
Oh. Wow.
It makes a very small fruit. It's supposed to taste pretty good.
Very ornamental, at least.
That's it. Yeah, it's ornamental. It's pretty. It falls into my wheelhouse of, you know, weird plants that most people don't have. So I keep them, and I need to propagate more of them, but I'm perpetually, you know, a little behind on propagation. Back here I've got some Roxapulpa, some Paludda de Mercuri, and there's some Rosa de Pescoço, kind of all mixed in through back here. Different trees floating around, all my parent trees that I use for taking cuttings.
This is a jackfruit here?
This is a jackfruit, yeah. It's a seedling jackfruit.
They don't take too long to get big, do they?
No, it's about 3 years old. I just cut the top out of it this year because it was probably another 4 or 5 feet up there. And yeah, we're just in the right zone and we haven't had a super cold winter in a while. There's actually a tarap back there planted. It's in there. It might be hard to get to, but there's one stuck in back there that I'm anxiously awaiting to see if it, you know, if we get a very cold winter and it beats it back. So time will tell. It's a big Glacioviana. It's a smaller. It's the variant of it's Cabelluda de Cruz. It's supposed to be the larger fruited variant of the Glacioviana. So, you know, I'm waiting for this to fruit, and if it fruits and the fruits turn out to be good or better, or, you know, anything promising or productive, I'll put it into production, see what we can do with it.
Yeah, I think the only knock on the yellow is it's the seed to flesh ratio, but the flavor is good.
It's right? Real, yeah. It's very, very scant flesh, which is why the Cabelluda de Cruz, if it turns out to be something, you know, worthwhile, or if it has better ratios, then it'll be good. I'll keep the yellow one way or the other. I like the fruit. It's something nice to, you know, it's like a nice peachy taste to it. I enjoy them. But you know, I'd equate it to eating sunflower seeds. You know, you're not going to get full eating them. They're you know, but they taste good and it's nice. When you come back here, I'll show you some of my propagation. Watch out for the tadpole.
Oh wow! Is that a kid kind of a?
No,
experiment?
Yeah, my kids they swim in that tub, and if you let the water sit for too long,
then
you end up with tadpoles in it. So, yeah, so this is where I keep most of my grafts when they're healing. I heal them up back here.
Is this your magic spot somewhere?
You know, this is my eBay spot. So everything that's up for sale this week on eBay just sits under this tree.
Okay.
So it doesn't get burnt, and so I know where it lives, so I don't lose it, because otherwise, you know, out here in this yard, it's easy to lose things. So I keep it all back here. You know, try and keep track of it, keep it all in order. You know, coming up with pulling more and more of these off. The very small propagations of the.
Was it the micrografts that you did? Time ago?
It's a different variation. So these are you can see it's approach. Yeah. If you look up you can see right there.
Where they kind of merged together.
Yep. And I found Steve Trenery is the one who I took that idea from. I saw him doing it, and I said, "Hey, that looks like a good idea." Yeah. And Steve confirmed. You know, he said, "Yeah, it works. It works really well. You know, there's some more of them, but you know, they work really well. If it's successful, I'll go with that route. I need to."
Plus, with something real rare like that, if they don't work, at least you didn't just kill the scion.
That's the other part. Yeah, if you can keep the scion attached to the parent tree, because every now and then you'll pull one off and it won't be connected, and you can go back and try it again later on. So it's funny. I saw in your the video with
Luis.
Yeah, he was talking about the black velvet. So
yeah,
you know, same thing with that that grafting method. I'm trying to see if I can get, I think that's that angle, or maybe from this side you can see where the graft union is, and it works really well.
Yes.
So if you're trying to graft the black velvet and you're having troubles with it, try that approach graft on the side, and yeah, and you leave them. You know, you leave them both attached until one heals, and then once it's healed, you know, usually that, I like to say a safe spot is 90 days. You can sometimes take them off ahead of 90 days, but if you want to be entirely sure about that, 90 days, and then you have a new tree. So you separate them out. But yeah, it's certainly, that's an experiment right now. It's trying to find out the best ways to do it, and certain things that will kill a tree off or that will make a tree more successful. You know, how quickly you cut back the top of the host tree is one. So I've put this one on down here, real low.
Oh wow.
And you know, and it's a big tree. So I don't know if more light's helpful or not. Get out of the way for a minute.
I can see it. Yeah.
You know, but how quickly you cut back the top of it is kind of one of those question marks of, you know, there's a lot of the top is still up here, but I don't think that the foliage that's on there wouldn't support the tree. So it's a matter of how do you cut this top back, and it's incrementally is the short answer.
Yes.
So if you cut it all back at once, the tree ends up having dieback beyond the cut, in my experience.
Yeah.
So I've learned to cut them back a little bit slowly, and you know, because you can always cut more back, but you can't put it back on once it's done. So you know, it's kind of one of those, you know, be a little bit more cautious and, you know, see how it goes. There's more, you know, rootstocks for days.
Yes.
You have to grow a lot of them if you wanna do all the grafting. So
it goes all the way past the unit back there.
No, they stop right there, and then there's ferns, and there's a few more bigger rootstocks down at the other end, and then it gets into mango rootstocks down on the other side.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, stuff to stay busy with.
That's an understatement, right?
Yeah. Here's a tree that I have. I'm trying to think, where's the actual. This is the tree, and it's one of the Trunciflora Red suspected hybrids that came from Flying Fox. That's where I got it originally. It was one of the ones that he was not as interested in, and sold to me years and years ago. And I got it to fruit, and I realized after that worms had gotten really bad in the soil and had been eating the tree. So I, in a panic, cut it back real hard one year and grafted it, and grafted a whole bunch, and I'm happy I did, because now I've got more of them. But it's kind of been this rebuilding process where I've been taking different, so there's a rootstock right there, there's another rootstock over here on this side, and just been inarching them into the tree, because, you know, for some reason it would get unhappy on its own root system. So I kind of came in with a plan of, like, if I put in a couple extra rootstocks at the bottom, that'll help. This is actually a bigger rootstock that I plan on taking the whole top of the tree off with.
Yes.
You know, it merges in right there. So at some point I'll take the whole top of the tree off and grow it out on there. But just as an experiment, as a way to see, you know, what's a way to keep that tree happy. Because the fruit was very good when I had it. I was quite pleased with it. So
I've done that with a mango. The parent mango was kind of dying. It was the trunk, so I just kind of inarched one too.
Yeah, here's it's a variegated red, and it's a pretty subtle variegation.
Oh, yeah.
It's not as, you know, it's not the albo variegation, but it's very pretty.
Yeah.
I've been real happy to see that. Same thing. I did an inarch or an approach graft, and I'm doing another approach graft here, putting it onto this tree, and hoping for the best. So that's one that's pretty exciting for me. Not just because it's pretty and different.
That's one that you grew out as a seedling, or
no? No, that's one. I believe it came from
different collector. Somebody.
Oh, it definitely came from a different collector, but I think it came originally from. I don't want to say who. No. I think it was One of the people in Hong Kong or Taiwan. I just don't remember who.
Oh, okay.
One of the collectors over there is who it came from originally.
Yes.
That's not who I got it from. I got it from a South Florida collector who had it, who let me borrow the plant long enough to do the approach graft.
Yeah.
And then I returned the plant to them with some interest.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And but yeah, that's it's just pretty. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. At the end of the day, it's variegated plants are that way. They're just pretty.
Yeah.
I don't want to say there's nothing special because the foliage is special, but you know, it's one of those.
They bring a special price.
They bring a
that's for
special
sure.
price. It seems like, you know, if you care enough for the foliage, you'll get a hold of one.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's levels to collectors. There's somebody who wants a Sabara, fruiting, whatever. There's somebody who wants a couple of different like varieties, and there's like super collectors who want stuff like that.
yeah, absolutely. and you know, that's for me is not where I started. You know, I started off I want fruit. And it's funny, I years ago was offered some variegated Monstera, and I said, no, let's take some regular Monstera. You know, I don't, who cares? What, the leaves are different? And I kicked myself later on for that.
Yeah.
You know, I managed to come into some, I have a couple of them over there, and, you know,
Yeah, see,
they're pretty.
They are pretty.
It's one of those, you know, same thing. It's a foliage plant. It's pretty. Keep them for collectors who, you know, who want them, and
Yeah.
every now and then it comes up that you need to sell one, and that's fine. Is there anything that you want to see or that you have a question about? Anything you're thinking of?
Are you growing any of the new stuff, like the stuff from Taiwan, red crystal, and all that stuff like that?
I mean, it's all small.
Yeah.
It's all like the same size as everything else. I
Yeah.
have, you know, here's these are Donegal, which
Oh, yeah.
you know, they're pretty.
Uh-huh.
They're pretty. They're interesting.
Those Tonellas or something?
What does it say? It says it on the side. Laranja de Bahia.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's all the same. I don't think anyone has, you know, fancy sources. There's some of the new Eugenias.
Yeah.
You know, people are happy to see them. I'm happy that we're growing them.
I mean, there's been an explosion of Eugenia and Plinia in like the last year or two. I mean,
It seems that way. It seems like we're figuring out how to everyone's figuring out ways to get seeds into the country, and you know that.
Yeah, but it was
If you grow fruits, you know, you get a hold of the seeds somehow.
Yeah.
So
a couple years ago, you'd be 30 varieties was like a big deal.
yeah,
And then now it's like doubled, maybe even tripled.
it is. Yeah, it is. It's funny, I actually have my terrible peppers over here, like super hot peppers. I think those are chocolate bootla peppers.
Okay.
And it's funny because ghost peppers is actually how I got into plants.
Oh.
Because it was when ghost peppers were first introduced, and you could buy seeds of them, but you couldn't buy plants. Hey, bud, you all right? But yeah, so I started in on peppers.
So that was the beginning.
Yeah, and then that transitioned into, you know, okay, well, peppers are cool, but you really don't want to eat.
Yeah.
You don't want to eat that many ghost peppers.
Then fruit, and then
Yeah, and then fruit, and then, but always along the lines of things you couldn't buy in a store. That was always kind of oh, watch out for
Okay,
him.
yeah, I'm over here.
You have a house of boys, and it's just like it's just like, don't mind me.
Yeah.
Someone was in the bathroom, so I improvise.
Yeah. Fertilizer.
Yeah. Here's actually a bunch of small-ish propagations that I did, and these were cleft grafts, but you know, so you know,
Yeah, they're pretty small.
Tiny Spirito, but you know, you get the nice foliage.
Yeah.
They just came out of, or I just planted the peat pots they were in, so they were pretty tiny. But yeah, potted those up. You know, just kind of staying on top of it. There's always something, always work to be done. But you know, they start off. Those ones are especially small. You know.
But it is amazing to get a graft that small to take. So
It's you usually need a greenhouse. You know, I have a little tent over there that I use. Let me think. Stuff over here. Walk through. I wouldn't go much past there. It just gets precarious at a certain point. But there's we get into like this is one of my bigger one of my bigger trees of oh, now the name eludes me.
Diamantina?
That's it, thank you. I'm like, oh, there's so many words in my head right now, but that's it, yeah. Diamantina, yeah,
it's the foliage is almost unmistakable.
Yeah, and
it's
they're
pretty.
They're real nice, they're pretty, they stay pretty, they're pretty tough trees. I've been very impressed by them. You know, every now and then you worry that a tree will be maybe not as strong. But you know, some of the bigger Eugenias, that is a Eugenia. It's the AFF generensis.
Oh, okay.
So it's one that kind of looks like generensis and might be something different, but it's a pretty interesting plant. It's got some really nice foliage on it. Real big. It's supposed to be, from what I understand, a cauliflorous Eugenia. So the pictures I've seen, it grows up and then it's cauliflorous production.
Okay.
So if you can get a Eugenia that will put out big fruit, you know, that's always nice. Back here, it's Campomenacia. I believe this is, it's a super guabiroba.
Okay.
So we should probably be into fruit here in the next year or so with this. They're real pretty. They're easier to grow than I anticipated. So hopefully,
yeah, that's another slippery slope. If you start collecting those, there's a lot of those.
There are a lot of Campomenaceas. Yeah, I fortunately am you know, somewhat limited on space, so I can't go too far down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But you know, so much of the stuff, the same collectors grow it, so you know, it comes from the same places, so it tends to be, you know, if you know somebody who's growing one of those things, you can probably find somebody who's, you know, growing the next thing, and then and then you end up with a whole bunch of seeds, and you just keep, you know, keep expanding until
your yards explodes.
Yeah,
I guess.
that's it. That's it at the end of the day. So
yeah, well, this is my kind of yard because it looks almost like mine.
Yeah, you know, here's a lot of the new seeds and stuff that are out there. There's some ruby honey, there's some lemongrass, there's some broncomel. There's probably a few other things mixed in there that I'll forget. And then some of the new stuff from Taiwan, black pearl, Taiwan tiger, a bunch of stuff from Argentina as well. So, you know, there's a little bit of everything. I'm equal opportunity, you know, I'll collect from all regions of the world. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a good time.
All right. Well, John, I'm so thankful for your time. And
gee, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it greatly. And just showing me around. There's so many cool things here. I want everybody just to, you know, check out his. You have a website, right? Or is it Facebook?
I have a Facebook page, but I mean, realistically, if you can just message me directly, or you can go through the nursery page. But either way, I'm responding to the messages one way or the other. It's not like I don't have staff who will answer my messages for me. So message me directly. It's fine.
Okay, and then almost weekly you've got stuff on eBay. So
I try to run a weekly auction on eBay just to, you know, make stuff available if people are looking for something, want something different.
John Travis 14.
John Travis 14. That's it. Yeah, I'm there.
I'm almost there too. All right. Well, I'll see you around.
All right. Thanks again.
Thanks. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, appreciate it.